What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about compound interest, what it can do for you, and a few examples on how we can use it to our advantage. So what is compound interest? Well, it's a mathematical phenomenon that Einstein himself said is the eighth wonder of the world. In fact, he said, whoever understands it earns it, and he who doesn't pays it. For an easy example on how compound interest works, let's say you take $10,000 and put it into a savings account, and that savings account earns you 2% interest per year. Well, if you had left that $10,000 in that bank account earning 2% interest per year and never touched it, in 20 years you would earn approximately $14,850. That's $4,800 in free earned money just for letting it sit in the bank. And the way compound interest works, it's got a exponential curve to it. And this is, if you take a look at how Warren Buffett became one of the most richest people in the world, he used compound interest from not only his investments in businesses, but the more wealth you have, the more it grows over time. You know what they say, money makes money. And this is exactly how an average person like myself can become a millionaire over time. You know, I'll post the formula right up here because I'm an engineering nerd and I love formulas, but you can see that the result of using compound interest not only involves the amount that you're contributing, whether that be single one-time payment like for the bank example we just did, or if you're investing in a 401k doing incremental payments over years and years. Not only does that payment matter, but also the interest rate itself, what kind of return you get, and then also the amount of time you let it grow. So let's look at some examples on how payment, time, and interest rate actually affect the growth and how it affects your compound interest over time. So the first thing we're going to start off with is a $3,000 initial payment. Now, you don't have to invest $3,000 to start out investing. You can start with $100, $200, $50. But for the sake of this example, let's assume that we have a $3,000 initial investment. From there, we're going to contribute $200 a month. And over the span of 30 years, this account or this fund is going to grow 8% per year over those 30 years. Now, you might be thinking, where am I getting 8%? Well, I'm going to use this as kind of a base example because over the last 40 years, the S&P 500 has averaged around an 8% growth whenever dividends are reinvested into that account. So at the end of 30 years, your account would be worth a little over $300,000. Now keep in mind, you put an initial $3,000 investment in and you put $2,400 annually in, which means that you just put in $72,000 over a span of 30 years, and with a $3,000 initial investment, that's only $75,000. So if you're looking, that's $225,000 that compound interest made you for free. So what if we take this same initial investment, the same monthly payment, the same interest rate, but then continue to fund this account for another 10 years? So now you're looking at a 40-year time span, which, if I'm 24 years old, so then this would be my accounts standing by the time I'm 64. You can see that we have $687,000 in this account. And again, that's over double just for keeping it in 10 years longer. And as I mentioned before, it does this exponential growth. And that's exactly how compound interest works and how you can make it work in your favor. So now let's take a look at a case where you have that same initial $3,000 investment. It still grows 8% over 40 years, but this time you put $400 a month in. So you put $4,800 a year into this account. Well, now you're looking at $1.3 million over 40 years. Now keep in mind, you only put in $195,000 if you include the initial investment over that 40-year span. So you're looking at over $1.1 million made just by using compound interest to your advantage. Now let's get crazy. Let's say you have that initial $3,000 invested. You're going to add an additional $400 a month over a 40-year time span. But this time, not only have you invested in mutual funds that will give you, 8% a year on average, but you've also invested in some good stock, some stock that has made some great growth over those 40 years, or you've made, good stock investments in increments. Like this 5 years you made a good stock investment and then you sold that one off, and the next 5 years you made a good stock investment, you sold that one off. Let's say it averaged out all the way, gains and losses, to 12% a year. At the end of 40 years, you will have accrued just under $4 million. That is insane. $4 million. And that's exactly how a guy like Warren Buffett can become one of the biggest billionaires in the world, if not the biggest. You take a little bit starting out, and then over time, you just watch as it exponentially increases and increases and increases until you have $500 billion. Now, you probably won't have $500 billion unless you're just one of the most successful businessmen or women in the world. But you can see how, again, an average person like myself can input, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 over the span of 40 years and walk away a multi-millionaire. This is how you level the playing field. This is how a guy that makes, $50,000 a year can, at the end of his working career, have millions of dollars to live on for the rest of his life, to go on vacations, to and invest, to enjoy, to give to his children, whatever it is that you choose to do with that money. Now, another thing it does do is it instills patience. If you've ever seen an exponential curve, it doesn't just jump up. It takes time and it grows gradual, but then as it starts to go up, it goes higher and higher and higher. And that's why, as we showed with the 30-year to 40-year investment period, why you have such a big growth, why it doubled in size. And again, in all these examples, I use $3,000 as an initial payment. That's not how you make compound interest work for you. That part doesn't matter. You can start with nothing and just start inputting $200 a month. And if you did $200 a month in a little over a year, you'd be able to reach that initial $3,000. If you put $400 a month in, you'd be there in under a year. What really matters is that you continue to put money in to make it grow. You're making money work for you. Money you work for, you're investing, and then it works for you through compound interest. But that interest rate and the amount of time that you keep it into that account, as we showed with the 30-year transition to the 40-year transition, you saw that doubled your earnings. That's how you make compound interest work. So comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to answer you. And this is my first video on this channel, so please like and subscribe. It'll help me grow this channel, help me be able to get you guys more content. And if there is anything specifically dealing with finances or engineering that you guys would like for me to cover, put it down in the comments below, and I'll make it a video here in the future. But that's it for today. See you guys.